Hello there, Kieran from NGB here, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, a series showcasing short games that you can complete over the weekend. It's the final episode, and it's a certified horror show, because first we've got a game that's spooky, and another game that's spooky. Halloween's truly come early. Unless you're watching this on Halloween, in which case Halloween has come at just the right time. I suppose you could be watching it after Halloween as well, in which case Halloween's a bit late this year. Okay, it's a spooky episode, let's get to it. Scorn slid onto PC and Xbox Series consoles in 2022, and it's also coming to the PS5 in October of this year. If you haven't heard of it, it's an H.R. Giger inspired survival horror game set in a beautifully twisted world. It's divisive, but I'm personally a big fan. If I was to describe Scorn in one word, it would be visceral. It's squelchy, bloody, sombre, desolate, haunting. Basically all the things you need to relax after a hard week at work. In Scorn you play as a person, maybe, as they wander an alien world in search of something? I mean, if you haven't guessed yet, I'm not entirely sure what's happening half the time in Scorn, but its surreal nature had me hooked from the get-go, and the story has stuck with me since completing it back on release. Scorn is primarily a puzzle game, and it does nothing in the way to hold your hand. At the beginning of the game, you fall down a hole, ending up in some kind of factory. You need to escape, and you do this by opening doors, pulling levers, sacrificing weird alien creatures, and completing puzzles. There's one particular puzzle that we at NGB affectionately call the ballsack puzzle. As you make your way further through the game, you get a weapon which lets you fight some of the horrible enemies that you've previously been running from. But the core loop is the same. Do some puzzles to progress further through the complex and beyond. Unfortunately, the combat in this game is piss poor, and it's the combat that caused the divide when it was released. Would the game be better without it? Yeah, but it still doesn't take away from the best parts of the game. Scorn's level design and art style are next to none. It's such an atmospheric game, and the care and attention to detail spreads into every facet. Nothing feels out of place. It's all one perfectly knit horror fest. From the tight corridors to the more expansive areas of the game, it's an uncomfortably beautiful world to be part of. Mechanisms for doors are organic and squelchy, and even the poor gunplay is propped up by suitably grim animations for reloading and switching your weapons. Scorn isn't for everyone, but if you're a fan of dystopian surrealist art, horror games, or H.R. Giger, it will be very much your kind of thing.
Den blomstertid nu kommer med lust och fägring stor. Du nalkas ljuva sommar då gräs och gröda gror.
Bramble the Mountain King crept onto Switch, PC, PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles this year, and it's a lovely little fairy tale video game. Except it's not, it's horrific. Bramble the Mountain King is an action-adventure platformer that follows Ollie and Lillimore, a brother and sister who live in a quaint little cottage in the woods. You play as Ollie, and you awake to see that your sister has escaped the bedroom via the window. As you explore the bedroom, you find a book that tells the tale of a girl who leaves her room against her mother's wishes and winds up getting eaten by a troll in the woods. It sounds eerily familiar, and yet you decide to leave your bedroom in search of your sister and head into the woods. What follows isn't quite what you'd expect from a horror game. The opening section, while suitably spooky, leads into the wider game, and it's really quite stunning. There's an air of whimsy as you run through grass with gnomes, jumping across mushrooms and playing hide and seek with them. It quite quickly takes a turn, however, when you're traipsing through a sea of blood-sodden offal and threatened by a troll with a meat cleaver. But it's this snatching you from a sense of security that makes Bramble so effective, and it's a theme that plays throughout the game. It means that even during its most beautiful moments, you have that feeling of impending dread. The story plays out over 4 to 5 hours, and by the time you've finished, it feels like you've been on a genuine journey. It's grim, in both senses, but also lovely, and oftentimes just simply beautiful. The sound design is superb, the music is great, it looks stunning, and the art style is perfect. One thing I need to mention though is that you shouldn't ignore the content warning at the start of the game. Some things in here will cause distress. It goes to places that games rarely go to. The whole idea behind Something for the Weekend is to bring to light shorter games, but it's also to shine a light on games that you may otherwise overlook. Bramble is one of those games. I'd not heard of it until making this episode, but I'm so glad that I've played it. There we are then. Thank you very much for watching, and an extra thanks if you watched all of these new episodes because it genuinely means a lot. If you'd like to see more of these, please leave a comment below, and while you're there, you might as well subscribe to the channel because we've got some cool stuff coming up and you'd be a bloody fool to miss out on it. But for now, and until next time, goodbye.